And we're live. And I'm late again. And I was here since 8:40 Central Time. I don't know what it is. I got stuck reading articles, what it was. Oh, we can't be here. We got to be here. That's a surprise for later. How are you this morning? Can you hear me okay? Let's see. Okay, we got good. Well, lots of news. Lots of news to go over today. First off, it's Friday. And I did not sleep very well last night. I slept from 11:30 to 1:47 when I looked at my phone, and after that it was a struggle. So I normally get up at 6. I was up at about 5 o'clock this morning, and I'm hurting at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be tough to get through the day, but I'm going to get through the day because I have a tremendous amount of things to do. So, I teased some information yesterday that we would have something today to talk about, and we do. I don't know how to preface the discussion, so I'm going to kind of hold off for just a second. Wanted to go over the, I have my notes, I'm sorry, I have to check every once in a while. I wanted to go over my notes, and it says, today is the 12th consecutive day of live streaming. So I've had 12 live streams in a row. I average one viewer, and that will be a bonus if I ever get anybody. Other than that, I do get spam a lot of times. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I got spam, and it doesn't count for my statistics. It doesn't count as a watch time, and so I'm basically just streaming to myself. Now I'm watching other people get streams of like 900,000 views. Okay, on YouTube, not on Twitch, on YouTube. I've seen people come over to YouTube from Twitch. Some of my favorite streamers regularly bring in, 10,000 viewers or, 10,000 views during the stream. And I used to think, oh, well, it must be because of the time. It must be I'm in a bad time. People are at work. They probably don't listen to a stream. But you know what? People put the stream on in the background and then they just go about their day. So I need you to tell your friends, hey, John's pretty good listen. You should probably listen to him. He knows what he's talking about with real estate, at least. He wanders into other topics he doesn't know anything about, and you can make fun of him for that if you want to. But we got to do something. We got to have more people in the chat because it gets kind of boring for me talking to myself. I mean, I don't know that I would listen to myself all the time. I do, but I don't want to. This is how bad it is. We're going to do a weather report. Weather report in St. Louis this morning is foggy. It's rained and it's kind of warm, so there's just a weird fog outside. At 5 o'clock this morning, it was clear, no fog. So, anyway, if my voice is froggy, which it sounds like it, I might take a drink or two throughout the stream, but I'm okay. One of my good friends who is in the business contracted COVID on a vacation, and I feel bad. I'm hoping he's going to pull through. My understanding is it's highly likely. But do you have, I'm sure you guys have friends that, sometimes they're down in the dumps and they got a illness or they got to go to the hospital or something, and then you just feel bad. So he doesn't watch the stream, or else I would give him a shout out. But since he doesn't watch the stream, I guess there's no point in that. Guess we're not that good of friends. I wanted to go over the statistics for YouTube. Like I said, it's the 12th day. I put out a video, a podcast. I put out a podcast that's also a video, and I do a live stream on YouTube every day, and I've been doing it for, well, the regular videos, the podcast videos, I've been doing since July of this year. I think I'm on episode, I can find out right now. I'm on episode, I'm in the 90s. I'm at 92. Today will be episode 92. One of the things I learned during my downtime about a month ago is that you can spend all day watching people tell you what to do on YouTube to be successful. And since you're spending all that time watching people tell you how to be successful on YouTube, you're watching their videos and not making yours. And so what ends up happening is you've just spent 4 hours and you're like, oh, I'll definitely incorporate that into my next video. And that's a really great idea. And then it's too late to put out a video. And now, now it's over. So I learned recently, I'm not interested in somebody's advice on YouTube. I think if the chat said, hey, I'd like you to do this, or I'd like you to do that, or there's a topic I want to talk about, I would listen to the chat much more than I would listen to YouTube. YouTube in the sense of, the creators. Just get it out there, just produce content. I've got enough to do where, it's enough just to do what I'm doing. Sometimes I take on too much. I've started posting my videos on Odyssey. Odyssey, it takes a little bit to get used to. My account was locked, so I couldn't post anything because they were waiting to, say my account is active. And so then yesterday my account was active, so I got some rewards so I could post some videos. And then they said I couldn't post anymore. I couldn't get any more rewards for the day. I'd come back tomorrow. So I came back today, and already they said, no, it's not time yet. So it's a little bit wonky. Will I post the live stream while I do a dual live stream from there and here, YouTube? I don't know. It depends on how much it's going to cost me. And it's hard for me to do dual live streams because I don't have any way to pull up the chat. I have to switch screens. I've only got, I know I'm old school. I've only got one screen. So one of the things I've been worried about that's stupid is I'm worried about a chat moderator. I don't have one. It's me. And I'd like to make someone the chat moderator, but I don't have anybody to chat with. So I can't really make a moderator out of nothing. So anyway, I'm doing these videos, and do you know what's happening? My statistics are actually getting worse. I was averaging about 1,000 impressions over the last maybe 2 weeks. And now I'm just starting to lose impressions. And I'm not smart enough to know all this stuff. I put out videos, people don't like them, and I guess that's it. But I don't know that many people see them. I mean, my impressions yesterday were 700. I mean, and how does an impression count? So I'm sitting in my own house and I see a video that I did. I've already watched it and it comes back up. I'm not going to watch it again. I already know what it says. I did the video myself. I watched the video to make sure it's not too screwed up. And then, that's 2 views. Sometimes I'm getting less than 10 views on a video. So, I mean, does something have to change tomorrow? No. But I think it's funny. I'm going to do a video. It won't be a live stream. I'll do a video. Then we'll talk about what my results were. I'm going to put, I streamed on YouTube for 30 days. Here's what's happened. Okay. And you know what's going to happen? I can already tell you. Nothing's going to happen. And then when I produce the video, nothing's going to happen from the video because that's what is going on. And then you know what I'll do? Then I'll say, and then I'll do it for 60 days. I'm serious. I think this is funny in a very strange way. Watching other people fail is kind of funny. It hurts a little bit because, like, again, if I stream for 30 days, that's 30 hours of my life that I'm not getting back on YouTube now. I've never tried to calculate my wage, but I will say that it's not very high for hourly. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But anyway, what did you think about yesterday's chat about better.com? Was I fair? Was I unfair? The stream, at least. There's a lot about that company that I don't like, based on the way they produce, based on the way they've done business. I don't want to be associated with them other than to say I don't want to have anything to do with them. But I thought that was kind of interesting. So let me check my notes again on my stuff. Okay. So I wanted to go over this. It's Friday. I feel like I can talk about what I want, but I read an email from a lady that used to be a real estate agent. Now she's a real estate copywriter, specifically. And she wrote an article about your reputation in real estate and defending your reputation in real estate. And I said to myself, it's 2021. Does anybody still use real estate reputation anymore? And then who would that be? Is it within the industry or is it with clients? So do I have a good reputation with my clients? Yes, I have a great reputation with my clients. Does that mean I get a bunch of business from them? No. Why is that not why is that not true? Well, if you ask one of my friends or one of my clients, former clients, that if you ask them, hey, did this guy do a good job? Would you recommend him? They say yes. Okay. Well, then that person goes to 6 other people, and then somebody else fawns over them and says, well, they'll pay you or something to use them. And so then I just get blown out of the water because I won't go down that path. So does my reputation matter? Well, I mean, it's nice to be noticed as far as like, hey, that guy's not terrible. But is it going to do anything for my business? No. Now, what about reputation with agents? Okay. Does a reputation matter? So like when I'm doing a deal with another agent, does the reputation matter? Not to me. You say, well, what would matter? Well, if I did a deal with somebody, that would matter. Because then I would say, oh, I've worked with this person in the past, and this is how they did things, and I thought that was pretty well done, or it's terrible. Reputation can take many forms. You say, well, this is the top real estate brokerage in St. Louis, and you're doing a deal with them. Shouldn't you feel special? Well, no, I don't really feel any more special. Does that go with reputation? I don't think so. I think they spend a lot more money on advertising than I do, and they can do that. So I have argued recently, and I don't think I'm wrong. I'm not able to capitalize on it, but I have argued that people think about today, okay, and tomorrow they think about tomorrow. They do not sit there and, like, if I've sold a house to somebody 5 years ago, it doesn't matter how many times I talk to them, it doesn't matter anything. They've kind of put it out of their mind, and if they're going to sell their house again, it's a whole new ball game. And the reason why I say that is because I watched a lady that I had done a fantastic job for selling her house. Okay. She went with somebody else this time around. She called me and had me out there, but it just didn't work out. So and that's by me doing good work in the past. And I still couldn't get the new listing. So that changed my view about things. Now, is there some requirement that this woman be loyal to me because of the work that I did in the past? No, but it would have been nice to get the listing, really. It was quite a kick to the shins. But this year has been a kick to the shins, one after the other. And we'll go over, I don't know if I'm going to do it in a live stream or if I'm going to do a video, but I just want to do like a list of grievances. You remember that? Maybe you don't remember Seinfeld, but I forgot what they made the holiday, and then they ended up they rolled out a list of grievances. It's been a long time, so I apologize, but yeah, I don't know that reputation matters now, like it did. What do you think? Do you think reputation matters? Put it in the comment section. Put it in the chat. Let's find out. I don't. I'm just going to go on the record. I don't think it matters at all. So that's that. I'm kind of dancing around. There's all kinds of topics I want to talk about, but I'm kind of dancing around. So I did see an article today in the online world. I don't know what that's about, but I don't really want to see that. Hope it wasn't playing during my video. I've seen some things that say this is the best economy we've ever had. The last 2 years have been the best economy we've ever had. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that? I don't sense that feeling. I don't get that feeling. I get the feeling that things are really, really, really in a dicey spot, and we need to, like for me, I'm saving money. I'm holding back on expenses because I don't know what's coming. But do you believe it? Like with housing, it's gone up like 50, 60% in the last 3 years. Prices, do you really think that that's good? Inflation, they were saying inflation was transitory. Now they're saying it's here for good. But they don't even use the same statistics that I would use. Like short-term things like gas and stuff are really expensive. So do you really think that the economy is firing on all cylinders? Is the stock market at an all-time high? I don't know. How many of you believe that the stock market is a good indicator of the economy? I've read hundreds of books. I've practiced trading. I'm terrible at it. Terrible. I think given the amount of time I've spent on it to be as bad as I am, I think I'm a worse YouTuber than trader, but they're really running neck and neck. I'm pretty bad at YouTube. And it's at this point, it's just funny to me. But the trading thing isn't funny because you lose money. So anyway, do you think that the market is somehow coupled with the stock market? And do you think that things are going great? I'd just like your opinion. It could be that there's a bias to the people that watch my stream. It could be a bias to the platform. For instance, if you're 80 years old, you're probably not watching. Thank God. Thank you for the spam chat. It's been 2 days since you guys have been spamming me, so I really appreciate it. Juliana Chase, that sounds like a really good name, and thank you for spamming the feed. I really appreciate it. At least you did something. So anyway, put something in the comments. Let me know. What do you think about the economy? And does it matter to you? I mean, if you're a certain age, you really are living off of dividends anyway, or some sort of payment, Social Security. You don't really care. But inflation eats into your pie too. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I don't see it, but whatever. I wanted to talk about Twitter and something I've seen, and I wanted to kind of go over it and see what you all thought about it. I've long been confused by Twitter as far as being able to attract a population that might want to buy a house. Okay. But I have a guy that I worked with. I was selling his house, and he's big on Twitter. He's got like 4,000 followers, and he was able to generate a significant amount of traffic to the listing. Now, did the person that ended up buying the house have anything to do with Twitter? No. But still, it looked like there was a possibility. And afterwards, he's been in touch with me about maybe getting my Twitter up and running like decent. One of the things I struggle with on Twitter, though, is what ends up happening is somebody will put out a tweet, like say from 2016, and then now it's 2021, and somebody else will dunk on them and say, you're an idiot because you look at what you did. But there's been 5 years in between, so we couldn't know what the next 5 years would bring, any of us. So I get a little bit nervous about being on Twitter and getting dunked on every day, because I don't think it's good for your health. I don't know that live streaming to no one is good for your health, but we'll find out. But I just wonder what you thought about that. You want to come on Twitter with me? I've got like 45 followers. But what I have to do is I have to change the settings. Right now, anything that I do online from YouTube or on the website goes straight to Twitter in its own article. And I'll have to decouple that. So anyway, that's that. I had posted something on Facebook, and I thought it was going to be great. I don't know if we talked about it, but I was showing houses on Sunday, and the back door of this house had what looked to be blood on it. And I took a picture and I posted on Facebook. Realtor tip, or pro tip, realtor top tip, make sure your door doesn't look like a crime scene on your showings, which I thought was funny. Apparently it wasn't, because no one looked at it. With 3 likes. It's one of the worst performing. I can do an article from realtor.com on paint colors and get more likes than what I got on that. It hurt. And I'm just wondering what I did wrong. Now, can I show you the picture? No, because I'm not that good at this. But it was funny. So, I don't know. I kind of got nervous. Maybe that kind of screwed up the delivery. I kind of got nervous. I I know that like eBay, like you can't sell body parts or bodily fluid. I mean, and I don't know that it was blood. I mean, it could have been ketchup. It could have been barbecue sauce. It just looked terrible. That was my point. So, just looking for some insight on that. Go to my Deerwood Realty Facebook page and check out the post, and then tell me what I did wrong or how you would have done it better. Put that in the chat. Okay. Here we go. This is like the last one before we get into the big meaty part of the program. So I saw an ad yesterday from a real estate marketing company saying that if you want to rake in the commissions, you need to be on the first page of YouTube. And then I got to so I'm watching the guy and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Does anyone realize how hard that is to get on the first page of Google for a search term? Not on Google. It's almost impossible on Google, but on YouTube. I mean, especially in a place like St. Louis, there's, 8,000 different agents just in SLAR. And then there's going to be, a couple thousand both in St. Charles and Jeffco, which is the Gateway Association. So, and then, so you say, what's it like to live in St. Louis, and hope that ranks. And if it doesn't, then you write something else about St. Louis. But I've always noticed that in Google, at least on search, they screw up St. Louis all the time. It never gets indexed. I've never been able to get it to work. So if you've ever figured that out, like if I did someplace that it was one word, like Chicago, that's different than St. Louis. St. Louis gets screwed up every time in search, or it did when I was really messing around with search. But it's weird. So you see this guy and he says, I'm doing really great and this is why. And then all you have to do is replicate it. Well, if 3,000 people watch his YouTube ad and they all go out there and try to do it, you think it's going to be any easier to get number one on Google? And then, by the way, this is the part that no one talks about on search. Like, you can get to the top. I've gotten to the top on articles for search, but they don't stay there. Somebody always writes an article better than yours, and then yours goes down. And then you have to either play again and create something new, or add to your other video, and it just gets to where all you're doing is trying to update videos, and you're not doing anything else. So my point is, I have been looking a lot at real estate marketing this year, because I just feel like my marketing is terrible. I feel like that's part of the reason why I had not as much success as I'm accustomed to having this year. But there's some central tenets, what I would say. Saw this was all messed up. So a couple of my tenets are this: I don't mind spending money. Okay, I don't mind spending money to get leads, but I won't use Zillow because they're not friendly for agents. They're also not friendly for small time agents. There's no way you could make it, or if you did, it'd be tough. I don't want to spend so much money that I'm working more than a month of my time, or more than a month of my pay, to be able to pay off the advertising. So, let's just say advertising costs $1,000 a month. Okay. And I make $0 a month. Well, then I'm not interested in working to get the $1,000 more. I'm not interested in having being forced to sell a house just to be able to get a lead, because that's a lot of work to sell a house. You may not agree with that. You may think I'm wrong, but anyway, so that's another thing. And then there's this: I don't want to work with companies I don't like. So that rolls out like Better.com and what they did. I don't want to, and really any multinational companies I'm a little bit skeptical of. So I don't know. I'm stuck. There's no question I'm stuck. I need to do something as far as, come up with some sort of coherent plan, but it's not been easy in this day and age. Like I told you about Facebook yesterday. Marketing to Facebook is difficult, especially when you're kind of put in a box. Marketing on Google search is difficult when you're put in a box. The perception of other agents and sales is tough. So when if I were to get a place that had like non-exclusive leads and call, somebody's called that number like 30 times already during the day, and they're just trying to get a hold of somebody. I just don't want to be that guy. I never have been that guy. I don't feel better doing it that way. So we got to work on our marketing, but that's kind of where I'm at. Now, let's get to it. I need to go ahead and check one thing. Okay. So one of the things that I haven't told you, I may have told you, hey, I'm a little burnt out. I was. October and November, not good. I had a series of bad, I'd say, listing failures, in the sense that I was competing with other agents to get listings, and I ended up not being the one that won a number of times, which really, really hurt. My sleep was really, really erratic, as far as I couldn't get to sleep. And so I'd sleep in the morning, and then by the time I woke up, it'd be late, and it was bad. And then even when I was awake, I was like a zombie. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to put forth an effort. So that was in October. I first noticed it probably the second week of October, because what was happening is I was getting information from like my other agent, Jan. He'd say, you need to do this today. And I would be like, yes, I do. And I would end up not getting it done. And it wasn't that difficult. So I'm not gonna, be a life coach, but I'm gonna say, like, I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I didn't think it was health related, because I didn't feel sick. I didn't have any energy. But you have to understand, like, Deerwood Realty is me. I mean, everything has to go through me, and it just gets old after years. So that's what happened. So October, recognized things were going poorly, but I had an anniversary scheduled with my wife. We had a little trip, a road trip to a winery where we were married, and I thought that would shake me out of the blues. And that was November the 3rd is our anniversary. So right around there, I got enough. She helped us pack, and I got down there, and I was able to relax a little bit, and I was kind of feeling like I was breaking out of it a little bit. And then I got home, and we haven't talked about this, but in the mail I got a letter from the Missouri Real Estate Commission. And the Missouri Real Estate Commission is the governing body of real estate licensing in Missouri. And sure enough, the letter said that I was going to be audited. Now, that is troublesome for a couple of reasons. One, if you tell people that you're being audited, it never sounds good. It always sounds like you've done something wrong. So you really can't talk about it. But it's very, very stressful. They look at all your files, they look at all your licenses, they look at all these things. And so when I got the letter, immediately I went down and I looked at my files, and I was like, oh, this is not good, because it hangs over you. Now, what can the MREC do? They could get rid of your license. They seldom ever do, but they will publish in a magazine if you missed something, if you've done a violation or something. And then so that's searchable, so that when people go look for a real estate agent and they see, oh, this guy's got a violation, it's not good. It's not good. And I'm in a different spot as well, because remember, I'm a real estate broker, so I own the brokerage. So I'm responsible for all the other agents that work underneath me. Now you say, well, that's not too bad. You only got Jan. Well, I've had other agents in the past, and they have done deals. So I got the letter. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing because it makes me nervous even thinking about it. Got the letter and needed to return the letter by a certain date. I returned the letter, but I didn't hear back from the auditor, so I thought that he didn't get it, and I was going to have to mail it. But I ended up hearing from him, and when I saw the letter, I knew who it was, because I'd done an audit with him many years ago. And that's another thing. I'm starting to get so old that people are coming and going in the industry, and I'm still here. And it's making me a little nostalgic or something. But anyway, I've been through 2 audits previous. The first audit came through flying colors, no problem. The second audit, it didn't come through flying colors, no problem, but nothing that was going to cause problems. Second audit, I got tripped up because we had a property management company. I was working for the broker, and we had a tenant that was just a criminal. I mean, it was impressive how shifty she was. And when we went to do the auditing, the numbers were off on that one lease out of like 150. So that caused problems, and it caused problems with the auditor, because I was livid because the lady was just jerking us around, and his job is to protect the consumer, which I have no problem with. My job is to, produce accurate accounting, and it was just not going well. So I remember his name from then. So anyway, he called, and he, said, he, by the way, left a very nice voicemail message, introduced himself, and it's totally different. It's like I was talking to a different person. And so I talked to him and I said, when do you want to do this? Or he said, when do you want to do this? And I said, as soon as possible. I just got to get it over with now. I mean, it's just on my mind every day, and it's not helping with the rest of the business. So he's like, well, what do you think about Thursday? This was earlier in the week. I said, yeah, come on over Thursday and let's do this. I think it'll take about 2 hours, 3 hours. So I was, okay. So I prepared everything, had it all ready for him yesterday. And I just want you to understand the audit process in Missouri. If your brokerage is more than 2 years old, you get thrown into a hat, and at some point, randomly, you're going to get selected. And so I've been in business with my brokerage since 2015, so 6 years. And it was my time. Now, after the audit, I'm unless I get a complaint, I'm free from getting another audit for the next 10 years. And then my name goes in the hat again at the 10-year mark. So 44 now, 54 by the time the audit comes through again, at the earliest, as long as I don't have an error or a complaint. So anyway, I talked to, he came over yesterday, nice man this time. And he's like, have we worked together before? I said, yeah, we had a terrible time. And he's like, well, that doesn't sound like me. I'm like, no, it was you. And he looked up his file and, he's like, well, what happened? And I told him. He said, well, I must have just been starting or something. I was like, yes. And you were telling me, you're telling us how to do our business, but we were pretty good at what we were doing. And this woman was a criminal. So anyway, we went through the audit. He said, before we started, he said, I've had 5 clean audits in the thousands that I've done in the last, 15 years. He said, just expect something to be wrong. And I was like, well, yeah. Because have you ever done a municipal inspection in St. Louis? If you have, you know that you're never going to get a clean inspection. They're always going to find something. It's just what they do. Well, I sat with him for 3 hours, went over the files. Do you know, when we got done, he said, you've done a perfect audit. Not one thing wrong. And you're number 6. I can't tell you how that made me feel. I have spent a lot of time trying to build a brokerage that I feel like buyers and sellers are best served. And to do that, a lot of agents hate doing paperwork. Okay. And a lot of agents just don't care. They want to make the money. And I understand. Okay. But you have to get the paperwork done so that when you get audited, you don't get violations. If you're going to there's other things too. So let's say you have your license. Well, you need to go to continuing education to keep your license current. So many agents will lapse and will have to go through the programs again. And then they'll try to list something and then it doesn't go very well. There's all these issues. One of the things that I was going over with the man from the MREC was the title company. If they don't put who the money goes to, okay, if they just put such and such, which withdrawal, but doesn't it to somebody, that hits me. That hits my audit. I'm the one that gets in trouble because I should be looking over those things. And you may say, well, that's obvious. Well, no, it's not, because I sit there and look at the numbers before closing, either on the buyer or seller side. But I never get to like the to this or to that. It's just it's just not what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the numbers, trying to figure it out. And then every contract, a listing contract's 10 pages. No, I think a listing contract's 6 pages. Probably 1,000 different places to make an error. The purchase contract can be 20 pages if you get enough riders and stuff and counters. Thousands of spots where you can have errors. So for me to get a perfect score really, really meant something. Now, while I was here, I just got a call from the fellow. I don't know if he's, if he's, what happened, but hopefully we're still good. And it was just a wrong number. Who knows? So that made my day yesterday. Now, it didn't last long. I went to lunch and then I had some texts and they kind of went downhill from there. But it was a weight off of my shoulders. Like right now, I am free and it's Friday. I haven't had anybody call me about showings this weekend. I'm going to try and get this stream out. I'm going to try and get a video out. I'm going to try and do a few bill pay type things and then be out for the week for today. And just get out of the house and live life and try to enjoy it. But it's been stressful. That audit, I mean, you just have no idea. So, Deerwood Realty, clean audit. We're not doing anything shifty, and we have proof of that by an auditor from the state. I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to go over an article, and then I'm going to jump ahead and do a different article because I think it's just more interesting. And I think we'll be out of time by then. It's very hard for me to know how long or how much content I'm going to need for it to work. But let's see. I'm going to go to the screen share. Okay, now I was at White Castle last night celebrating. And a song came on the radio, and they just don't write songs like this anymore. And I wanted to go over it with you. Can't play it because I'll get a YouTube strike. But this is Joe Diffie's Is It Cold in Here? And so it says, there's something wrong. Lord, I'm feeling a chill that runs through my heart like a torch cuts through steel. You haven't said a word. Are you feeling it too? Is it cold in here or is it just you? Now, this is brilliant songwriting. You don't get this anymore. And then there's the verse that says, did I leave the door wide open and let the chill just kill this old desire? Should I put my arms around you or put another log on the fire? Is it my imagination or did the temperature just drop a notch or two? Is it cold in here or is it just you? That's the next verse. And then it says, there's no warmth at all when I try to hold you near. You stare into space as if I wasn't here. Did our love just die, or is it just about to? Is it cold in here, or is it just you? I mean, that is one of the better songs, at least lyrics-wise, I've heard. So, man, what a great job. Now, if I get hammered on that on a copyright claim, I guess go for it. All right, so I'm gonna go over here in this article. I'm gonna jump way to the end, and we're gonna just attack. Okay, it says from the Consumer Federation of America. Now we talked about Betters.com. We've talked about the DOJ and NAR in a video. It says this is a Consumer Federation of America, which means nothing to me. It's a trade group for some reason. They're trying to push something. They say it's for consumers, but I don't trust anybody. And I don't trust anything like this. So, but let's read it. It says research on more than 10,000 home sales reveals that buyer agent commission rates are highly uniform. Okay, well, great. Okay, so they put out this press release and they put out a new report. So the new report by Consumer Federation of America on residential real estate commissions. I don't really care for these people whatsoever because they don't know what they're talking about, and we'll go over it. It shows that buyer agent commissions are highly uniform. This rate is strongly supported by the industry's compensation system, in which sellers pay the commission of both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. Untying seller and buyer agent compensation would spur price competition that would substantially reduce some $100 billion in commissions paid annually by consumers. You don't know that for a fact. You have no idea what you're talking about, and you sit in a desk and you get paid to write stupid articles like this. Okay, let's be honest. Are you a real estate agent? Have you ever been in the business? And if you have, why are you now behind a desk? That's what I have to say to start. So I have no interest in this organization, but it says the current commission system is designed to thwart price competition among agents. Stephen Brobeck, a CFA senior fellow and reports author. So he's paid money to write things. Okay, that's his job, and I have no interest in this thing. It says if home buyers were allowed to negotiate their agent's commission, agents would be encouraged to compete on price and service. Now, just so you know, I go out and I get called on a listing appointment, and I'll have 4 other agents come at that same appointment. Okay. Do you think we're competing on price and service at that point in time? You bet we are. You bet we are. So for you to sit there and say that they're not doing that is ridiculous. Okay? And believe me, we're encouraged, because if we don't get the listing, we go out of business. Okay? Which you don't have to worry about, because you have a nice cushy job at the Consumer Federation of America, and they will pay you, they'll pay you your retirement. Every Friday you get your paycheck and you don't have to worry about it. But you can come and talk about real estate commissions. This is wonderful. So it says, so here we go. The analysis of more than 10,000 home sales this year in 21 cities in the eastern half of the U.S. shows that the buyer agent rates were highly uniform. Well, did you do the western part of the United States? And why did you choose the eastern part of the United States? It says, here we go, some of the highlights. In 8 of the cities, more than 80% of the rates were identical. In 14 cities, more than 88% of the rates range between 2.5 and 3.0%. In all cities but Brooklyn, New York, at least 72% of the rates range between 2.5 and 3%. So what you're saying, do you want it to be 1%? What is your percentage that makes you happy? And when you do that, by the way, you tell me about your salary, okay? And tell me how many percentage points of your salary we should take off for you writing this nonsense. This is ridiculous. It says, in a price competitive market, commission rates would vary considerably. Do you know that? Where have you seen that work? I've heard about deregulation in trucking, and that was going to fix everything. We currently have supply chain issues, so that didn't fix it. I've heard about deregulating the airline industry. How's that going? Okay. Is it cheaper? It's just more and more, you go to school. This guy went to college, and then he got his degree, and he was taught a certain thing a certain way, and now he's just going to spout it out for the rest of his life. And it's going to sound good, but unless he's a real estate agent, unless he's doing the time, I have no interest in this. Okay. It says, in a price competitive markets, rates would vary greatly because of several factors. Okay, well, what did you write that sounds good? Okay, it says the work-related costs of agents can vary greatly. Listing agents can do as little as just listing the house on the local multiple listing service, which isn't free, by the way, or also arranging high-quality photos and videos, which isn't free, by the way, developing and distributing marketing materials, which isn't free, and meeting potential buyers, also not free. Buyer's agents can, for example, show only one house or more than a dozen homes. Try 20 to 30 to 50 homes. And by the way, when you show those 50 homes to somebody and they decide not to buy in the end of the day, who pays for that? Remember, every week you get your check, but I don't get it. I don't get a check because somebody walks off. And so for you to write this garbage when you don't know what you're talking about is just insane. It says when the work does not vary, the compensation usually does. Total agent compensation at a 5% rate of the sales price varies from $5,000 on the sale of a $100,000 home to $50,000 on the sale of a $1 million home. What about that $60,000 home? What about that one? The quality of agent service also often varies, but the rate usually does not. Experienced agents typically charge the same rates as agents who have just received their license. So you're saying that new agents should charge less? Again, we have plenty of expenses. But you've determined you probably don't have any expenses because your office pays for everything. I would really like to see your list of expenses. That's this bullshit. We see this all the time. These people write stuff in their little offices and they've never done the business and they don't know what they're talking about. It says in home sales, some agents are fiduciaries with total loyalty to clients, while other agents work as dual agents or transaction brokers with no loyalty to either seller or buyer. Fiduciaries in general deserve higher compensation. Where did you pick that up? Because you went in the accounting industry? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Industry structure and culture block this price competition. The report shows that the above factors, which should result in highly variable commission rates and agent compensation, are minimized by the structure and the culture of the industry. It's got historic rate setting. I don't even care. Industry rules. It says the industry requires listing agents to use local local multiple listing services to offer fixed compensation to buyers agents selling the properties. It's against the law in my state to even do a net listing, but we don't talk about that. We're going to pretend that doesn't exist for this because we're trying to prove a point. Buyers are unable to negotiate this compensation, and buyers are usually told if they ask their agent that sellers paid the agent's commission. True. Sellers, on the other hand, are informed by their listing agents that lowering this buyer compensation will risk buyer agents steering their clients to higher commission properties. Well, now you're using an economic principle, okay? You're using an economic principle here that you agree with, Okay. But the economic principle in the rest of the article is balderdash. It's just ridiculous. I mean, you're just writing garbage, and you should be embarrassed. Industry norms. The industry promotes a cooperative culture in which agents are expected to be team players, according to the FTC's 1983 report. We're in 2021, and this guy is using a report from 1983. The FTC. Name one human being that's still working at the FTC from 1983. Maybe this guy. Maybe that's how he got his job. He moved over from there because it's all slime. Company policy manuals often constrain rates charged. So let me get this straight. Of the 10,000 homes he looked at the company policy manuals of every single brokerage. So he knows. And it says, and agent scripts explain how agents can avoid negotiating lower rates. Really? So you've looked at all these manuals and you know. I'd like you to look at mine because it's not in there. A core norm of the industry culture is not talking or writing about commission rates. Why is that? It's the Sherman Antitrust Act. Okay, fix that and then get back to me. Which helps explain why very few firms except discounters advertise commission rates, disclose them on websites, provide them to inquiring consumers who call firms or typically discuss them at all with home buyers. Again, tell me about the Sherman Antitrust Act. We're not allowed to discuss commissions by law. I mean, it's ridiculous. But, you can go ahead and say that we just don't want to do it. Agent surplus, it says the high ratio of agents, over 1.5 million realtors to number of home sales, about 6 million, forces agents to spend much more time and money seeking clients. It also provides a strong incentive for agents and firms to support high uniform fees. So you're in an industry, this consumer finance garbage, okay? Somebody has to pay for your BS that you write. So if this company doesn't, you have to go someplace else. How's that any different than a real estate agent, okay? If we don't perform somewhere, we got to go out of the business. We don't even get to stay in the business. You can write more BS. So then we're going to go and we're going to talk about real estate in Brooklyn, where expensive homes generate substantial fees. Typical buyer agent rates are well below 2.5%. There's now a large number of sales at both 2.5 and 3%. What about 2.7% or 2.9%? But the point of this is completely ridiculous. It's an advocacy piece masquerading as a piece of news. Okay. The report suggests one measure which could spur rate competition is uncoupling buyer and selling listing agent commissions so buyers can negotiate compensation with their agents. We had that article yesterday that explained if you do that, then buyers will be unrepresented. And do you really want the buyers to be unrepresented? Like Europe. But, whatever you want, man, because you know it all. Buyer's agent commissions now baked in the listed prices will be negotiated by the buyers. That would lower home sale prices. You don't know that for a fact. And both the mortgage and real estate industries would ensure that these commissions could be included in mortgages whose amount financed would not need to increase. Again, we don't know. We don't know. The uncoupling of rates will also free listing agent discounters from the shackles of current industry rules that force them to charge typical buyer agent rates. Over time, there'd be much wider variation in rates reflecting agent experience, work, effort, represent. This is a pie in the sky. Tell me about your utopia that you're going to build next, okay? Is it going to be in the metaverse? Then here we go. There's a broad and increasing consensus that commission rates should be uncoupled. Studies published by both the right, the Cato Institute, and the left, the Brookings Institute, argues. Let's talk about the Brookings Institute and how well they've been doing with the U.S. Department of Justice. Yes. There's not any sort of disgusting relationship there. The Biden administration antitrust agenda targets tied commissions. Even some voices in the industry have suggested the consideration of changes in current rate compensation price. Sure. A week ago, the National Association of Realtors announced changes that would allow agents, firms, and portals to publish their buyers' agent rates. In analysis of these charges, they noticed that it would discourage agents from steering consumers to high commission properties, but would not permit significant rate competition because buyers would still not pay or be able to effectively negotiate compensation with agents. So I have this thing called a buyer's agency agreement that I have to do when I'm a buyer's agent for anybody, and it lists the commission in there. And I'll tell you, I get paid what's in that commission. That's part of it. So the idea that we get paid from the seller and that doesn't have anything to do, when we write in the commission, it's not, we don't do it just for the pure fun of it. So this guy looks like he's kind of headed out on his life, and that'll be good. That'll be good. He's worthless. So, good Lord, I hate when people just write about stuff they don't know what they're talking about, and then they act like if they do make all these changes, it's kind of like the communism argument. They say, well, it's never been truly tried. It's been tried, but it's never been done right, so we need to keep trying. How many million of people have died from communism over the past 100 years? But we're going to pretend that doesn't exist either. So, am I touchy about? I'll put it out there. I'll put it to you like this. Okay. Agents come into the business. Within 1 year, they can't afford to be in the business and they get thrown out because they literally can't afford to eat. And then this guy comes in and says, oh, well, agents get paid too much. It's an unfair system, the consumer, but we're going to act like all these other businesses and all these other, by the way, what consumer uses, that's the other thing. What kind of marketplace is he even in? Okay. What consumer consumes his information? Politicians. We know about politicians and what we think of them. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. That's how the world has changed in my lifetime. Is we have these like advocacy groups, okay, that write these policies that make it seem like everything's totally normal and everything's fine. And if you just listen to this policy group, everything's going to be great. It's going to work out really wonderfully. It's not. It's not. But you know what? By the time the policy gets enacted, these people are long gone. They've got their retirement. They're sitting on a beach somewhere. And, they've done a good thing. They made their money in life. But, to everybody else, it's like, forget you. So unless you're a real estate agent, unless you've been in the business, unless you've managed to be successful in the business, shut up. Because you don't know anything that you're talking about. Okay? Any first grader could write what you wrote, and it would mean about the same thing as far as being truthful and factual. So that's what I think of that guy. I don't want consumers to have to pay extra amounts of money. I don't want to have to pay more than they should or anything like that. But I don't need this guy who sits behind a desk and gets paid every 2 weeks, to tell me how I need to run my business. Okay? Because if I don't sell a house, I literally don't eat. Okay? If that guy writes a stupid article that no one reads, he still has a job. So I have, again, no interest in, and anybody that would take his words seriously needs to really check what they're thinking. Because that's the other thing. There are discount brokers. There are transaction brokers in St. Louis and everywhere else. Okay. It's not like it doesn't exist. Okay. And it's been that way for at least a decade. When you say uncoupling something is going to change it, good luck. Good luck. Just dumb. Just dumb. So let me check. I still have to keep checking. And hopefully hopefully with the National Association, I didn't overstep my bounds. Hopefully I didn't talk about commissions in a way that will get me in trouble. I don't know what the typical commission is in St. Louis. I have no idea. I know what I charge based on what I do. Irritating. So I was glad we could get that out of the way. I'm glad we got the better.com out of the way. I would like if we had more people than my spam commenters like come in and tell me I'm wrong. But just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. It's America. We're allowed to disagree on some things, less than we used to be, but let's go over this stuff. Let's put it out there. I mean, the National Association and the DOJ are, they're fighting. But this guy with his article, I mean, it's embarrassing. I'm sorry, I checked my email. What do we got here? Let's go over this. I'm going to run a little bit longer. But I want to do this article. It's been sitting around for a while, and it's at this point it's going to get stale. So let me switch right here. Okay, safety first. Eight tips to protect yourself when showing your home. I think this is important. Whenever I do take a listing, I talk to the sellers about, hey, you need to move your your valuables. You need to move medication, stuff like that, if you can. If you're still living in the house, it's a little more tough, but I mean, at least the medication and stuff. And it's not because it doesn't matter if somebody steals it. It's like if somebody steals it, it's still problematic for you. Like if you have like heart medicine or something like that and you need it every day. That's why I say that. And plus, if you have like things that are like one-offs, individual to you, those kinds of things, you need to have the ability to have those keepsakes. And so I'd hate for them to get lost. And people just aren't, always on the up and up. So it says, number 1, beware of for sale signs. You may be in some danger the second you put a for sale sign on the yard. Scammers will notice. To protect yourself, you include lawn signage indicating you have some home security system. Now, he works for his home security system. Even without seller posting signs, its aggressive buyers might try to take a look without being scheduled to do so. In today's heated market with low inventory, the minute a property hits the MLS, buyers and agents may disregard protocol and see if they can get in a home. It says Amir, I don't know who that is. Maybe it was earlier. A do not enter sign on the edge of your property may also be necessary. I don't know about that. I've had one agent in my career go into one of my listings without my consent. And it was a pretty good agent, and I was really disappointed by what happened. I did report him to the local board, and nothing happened. But yeah, anytime you put a for sale sign in your house or in your yard, you do have to be on a little bit higher alert. I think that's very true. One of the things that I do with a house that's not listed, that's not occupied, that's vacant, is I'll go over there and check daily, or at least every 2 days or 2 or 3 days, just to make sure that the water is not frozen, make sure that the house is clean and showable condition. There's no blood on the back door, things of this nature. But I'll pay attention to that because I don't want something to happen to the house. I mean, you've got higher visibility when there's a for sale sign in the yard. Let me go to the next one. It says, hide everything pricey, personal, and potentially perilous. It says, consider moving any items that are valuable, fragile, or significant to a trusted family member or friend's house or a secured storage facility for safekeeping. I agree with that. And I tell people that. I think that's very important. You should do that. Be careful with storage. I've heard horror stories of even climate-controlled storage where there's some sort of mold or something in the building and it gets on the furniture and ruins it. But that's good. Good advice. Show by appointment only. I don't think you should ever not show by appointment only. Open houses in 2021 are kind of coming back, but I'm still a little bit hesitant unless I'm in a situation where the home just isn't really moving. So that's true. I think that's good. Don't show alone. I don't understand this one. It says, X procedure, don't show your home alone. There should be at least 2 people observing, even if the home has 2 stories. One real estate agent could generally observe. The other listing agent or owner can accompany the potential buyers on the home tour. Use the buddy system. Strength comes in numbers. I don't want sellers at my showings of their homes because I want my buyers to put themselves in the home mentally and see if they would be interested in buying it. I do not recommend this. I don't have a problem. Like if I show a house with I just very seldom ever see. I don't like when sellers are at the house. It makes things weird. Protect your codes, lockboxes, and keys. Don't give garage door codes out for showings. I think that's really a good idea. And as we've gone on, I'm seeing it more and more. We have the touch tone or touchpad key locks for houses, and so the owner will just the seller will just give you the code, and then you just give it to all the agents. I just don't feel like that's a high level of security. I still like my Supra. I don't like lock boxes. I think I want to know everybody that goes in the house and when. Not because they're going to do something wrong, but because I like to have a record. Ask for identification. Request ID when people move in or people walk in. If they have a problem, that's a red flag and you need to tell them to leave. I don't even understand why that would happen. You should also be alert if someone appears and claims to be a buyer's agent. A buyer's agent doesn't usually show up unannounced. That's true. Contract the agent's offer to confirm involvement with that particular real estate agency. If you're at that point, you're already in trouble. I identify myself as a real estate agent whenever I see sellers. Sometimes I will see sellers, like if I have an appointment at 11 and and I get there early, like 10:50. Sometimes the sellers are leaving, they've got the house lit up and it's all ready to go. And I will say, hey, I'm an agent. I'll let them know. And then if they see me and something did happen, then they could say, hey, I can recognize this guy who's, bald and middle-aged with a beard. And that was who I saw. And maybe it'll help down the road for something. Set open house limits. It says open houses and occupied homes can certainly be a safety concern when it comes to managing crowds. This person suggests you limit the number of people allowed in one time, have an agent at the door to monitor capacity. I don't know about this. I would not like people waiting outside on an open house. Now, I've been in a house where there was a line around the block, and the only reason why there was a limit there was because you just couldn't physically fit any more people in the house. I do not recommend that. I was in a house that was full of people a couple months back. I didn't like it. I don't like to go to open houses. Also, from an agent's perspective, we've had now 2 articles where agents have been attacked during open houses. So be careful. Be careful with the open house. Control traffic. It says before showing an open house, identify all access points to your home. Then choose one that everyone should use. For most homes as a front door. Then find a way to securely lock all access points. When entrance and egress access is controlled, no one can surprise you or sneak out the back door with your belongings. Well, I have people come in the open house. I've had people come in our open house, and what they'll do is they'll walk in the front door and then they'll walk out the back door and not come back through because they don't want to see me, which is fine. I don't mind. Now, are they stealing stuff? No. Most of the time, I mean, it's kind of weird. Like a television anymore isn't worth as much as it used to be. Most of the time, like small stuff isn't really in the house anymore. I mean, if it's occupied, I've had situations where I'll take two agents, myself and another agent will kind of watch the back door and we'll watch the front door. But for the most part, 99% of the people that come to an open house are good people. They're just interested in the home, or interested in, if they're a nosy neighbor, they're just interested in seeing what the house will sell for. So I don't want you to be worried about that so much. It is weird if you were going to sell, if you're selling the home yourself, then obviously you're going to be showing it. But I mean, I do think that's a reasonable question to ask agents is when you put my house up for sale, when we list it with you, are you going to use a lockbox or are you going to use a Supra? And then how am I going to be informed? Like, am I going to be now? If it's a vacant house, I always advise sellers to allow for showings to be scheduled at any time. If it's a occupied house, I always say go ahead and take the showings, because in my point of view, like if I'm going to show 5 houses in an agent and you're the 3rd house on the list and you decline the showing because you want to take a nap, I'm just not going to put it back on the list. And so going back to the other article about, and my buyers aren't going to be interested either. So going back to the other article about negotiating buyer fees and saying that if the buyer's fee is lower, some agent's not going to show the house. Well, if an agent won't show a house because they can't get access and it's not efficient for them, do you think that the money is going to be a different motivator? It's probably not. So it's a weird argument that guy had. But anyway, I'm gonna cut out of my live stream. It's been an hour and got nobody but one spammer and same spam. I don't want to go to subscriber only on the chat because I want people to be able to. I mean, I don't mind if there's some trolls and stuff like that, but for the most part, we'll stream tomorrow 9 a.m. St. Louis time. We'll talk about real estate. We're gonna change up these articles a little bit for tomorrow and see what there is. So thank you for watching. Tell your friends, tell your family. Put